Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
I had a whole bunch of people send me this story, both when it first happened and then when it resolved itself just minutes ago. So we're going to talk about it now. Thank you, everybody who sent it. This version is from yahoosports.com. Car dealer reverses course and awards prize to Purdue student who made 40-yard field goal at halftime of home opener. So a lot of exciting stuff happening there at Purdue football, although they've been doing pretty well lately, so my hat's off to them. The car dealer that sponsors the halftime contest initially said the man's kick came .005 seconds too late. Nick Bromberg wrote this for Yahoo Sports. So we're talking about one of those contests they do to entertain the crowds during halftime. Purdue student is being rightfully rewarded his halftime prize because he kicked a 40-yard field goal at halftime of Purdue's home opener against Indiana State on August 31st. And by the way, kicking a 40-yard field goal, I'd have to imagine, is harder than hitting a half-court basketball shot. I would have to guess that, but I could be wrong. He was part of a contest sponsored by a local automotive group and was set to get $250 and a 2-year lease in a car from the dealer if he made the field goal. $250 and a 2-year lease. So this is not exactly $1 million and a ham sandwich, but it's something. But it wasn't nearly as straightforward as people thought it was, because the car dealer informed the man after he made the kick that his kick was actually .005 seconds late and that there had been a 30-second time limit which expired on the contest. And since his foot hit the ball fractions of a second too late, he wouldn't be getting the car lease. And as you can imagine, there was an uproar. And by uproar, I mean, yeah, a big one. So at first they said, our decision to not award him the grand prize was not personal, but simply out of principle and rules-based, said the man, speaking for the automotive group, in an email over the weekend. We are disappointed that he was led to believe that he did accomplish the challenge, and so they appear to be blaming the officials. The dealer's principled stand was short-sighted and quite frankly didn't make business sense. Instead of showing the slightest bit of generosity and immediately giving the man the lease, the dealer opened itself up to criticism for being hard-headed and cheap. Plus, it gave rival car dealers the opportunity to jump in for some goodwill themselves and potentially give the man the lease in the car. Several dealerships stepped up and said, we'll do it. We'll take care of the man. And so they got good publicity. Main dealer, bad publicity. So the automotive group realized the cost of their stand was far greater than the cost of giving the man the car. So the man has now told the newspaper that he had been given the option of a 2-year lease or $5,000 in cash, which he decided to take the cash. And I think that's a smart move there. His kick also prompted a rules change. Going forward, the contest will still go on, as will my heart, at Purdue home games, but will proceed without a 30-second clock. So did we really need a play clock on the kick for this contest? And as you can imagine, if you think about the kinds of things that would cause a crowd to get upset, is if the guy makes the kick and a ref throws a flag and goes, kick was too late, but you don't get a second kick. You lose. No, that's a horrible rule. But I can also tell you that people don't think these things out very well. I worked at a radio station years ago that advertised that we're going to give away the lease for a van for 1 year. And all you had to do was call the station when you heard a certain sound and be the fifth caller, and we'd take all these names and put them in a drawing, and they would get drawn in the morning show, and a person would get this car for a year, a lease. And the person who won the contest, for whatever reason, couldn't get insurance. And so wound up not getting the vehicle. And from what I understand, spent about a year telling people, yeah, I won that stupid contest, but I did not get the van. And so it didn't work out well for the radio station. But you have to understand, things like this, there's no excuse for this, because contests like this have been going on for some time now. I've even done videos about things like this. I did a video not so long ago, by that I mean probably 4 or 5 years ago, about a guy who hit a hole-in-one at a golf course during a tournament that said, if you hit a hole-in-one in this hole, this tournament, you get this car. And there's a car parked right there. And it had signs all over it from a dealership. Guy hits the hole-in-one, everybody's jumping up and down, whee, high-fiving and whatnot. And when the dust settles, the dealership goes, well, someone's got to pay us for that. And the promoter's going, well, we thought the dealership was doing it for advertising. And then the golf course is going, well, we thought they were doing it because they're the promoter. And next thing you know, his finger's pointing everywhere, but some guy's not getting his car. And so you got to ask yourself, is this stuff lined up to where if somebody wins it, they get it? The odds of them winning are usually very, very slim. I knew a guy who was involved in some of those types of contests at golf courses. And there are golf courses that simply run that contest constantly. Hole in one. If you get a hole in one in this hole and you bought the ticket, you'll win this gigantic prize. And what happens is when you're signing up to go out and play around, they tell you that. They go, by the way, do you want to pay a couple bucks so in case you hit a hole in one here, you could win that gigantic prize? Because imagine how you'd feel if you didn't buy the ticket. Next thing you know, everybody's buying the tickets, and somebody out there has done the math, an actuarial scientist type of person, to calculate what the odds are of somebody walking in off the street and hitting a hole in one on that particular hole. And they've done the math on it, and it's like anything else. The odds are this, and they pay off this, and the leftovers profit. Now, of course, the day that somebody hits it is a massive loss for somebody, but they make it up later. Overall, these things balance out. And so how often can somebody walking in out of the stands kick a 40-yard field goal? I wouldn't think it would be that common. But then again, it looks like this prize is worth about $5,000. You could almost give that away to people who simply tried and make it worthwhile. I mean, think about the advertising you get. If you're in front of that many people, and there's a contest sponsored by these people, their names on the screens and names being touted everywhere, and yeah, you get a ton of free publicity for that. But again, $5,000, and look at all the bad publicity they got by not paying the guy. And that is somebody who doesn't get it. You want someone to win. You don't sponsor a contest like this if you're rooting against the person winning, because you want to be celebrating with them. We're happy you won. We're happy to give you a car. That's what it's all about. And so when I've seen it before, where somebody wins something and the person handing over the check has a glum look on their face, like they just lost all this money. Get that person off the stage and find the person at your establishment with the biggest smile and have them go out there and present the check, the comically huge check, right? Happy Gilmore. You've got to do it with a smile because you're getting great publicity. And the funny thing about this story is how quickly it turned from this dealership won't honor the agreement, but these dealerships will. And they didn't get anything out of the early publicity. They got nothing. All they got was, we'll step in and take care of this. And now they're the heroes. So the dealership here is scrambling, trying to recover something here from the ashes, and hopefully they learned a lesson. But like I said, if you sponsor a contest like this, make sure you've done the math, because chances are the guy hits this field goal, they got more games this year. It's not like the kicker's going to go 10 for 10 or something. No. They're going to go 1-9. Over the next 9 games, it's going to be 9 misses. Almost guaranteed. So you want someone to win, because if everybody loses, then it looks rigged. And it looks even worse when you won't pay. So I've also seen documentaries. Remember the half-court shots, halftime of the NBA? And it was also an episode of Frasier where Niles hit one, which was almost like science fiction. But I seem to recall a documentary on ESPN about a couple of those where they balked at that and said, well, this guy who hit the half-court shot actually played like semi-pro ball, like 20 years, and they go looking for excuses not to pay. No, you got to pay. Think about what people talk about. I went to a game the other night and I saw a guy hit a half-court shot and get $100,000. Imagine that. Or I was at the game where the guy hit the shot and they denied him because they found something on his resume. It's ridiculous. So the guy kicked the 40-yarder. Right now he's probably fielding Division I offers to be a kicker. Kickers can be hard to come by sometimes. So good for him. He's getting his $5,000. He's taking his money and running. Nick Bromberg wrote that for Yahoo Sports. Car dealer reverses course and awards prize to Purdue student who made the 40-yard field goal at halftime of the home opener after the sponsors originally said he'd kicked it 0.005 seconds too late. And it's about principle and rules, and we got to live by those, don't we? So questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. If a cow ever got the chance, he'd eat you and everyone you care about.